That's a great start, yes. Damn, this was a good intro. Like, seriously, could be one of the best, if not the best intro from LOVEBITES. Dissonance. That's right, guys. I hit you that double music video this week. Hope you appreciate it because I'm addicted to Nioh 3. I feel it, guys. No more serious, right? Hagane yesterday, amazing. Thank you guys for, of course, recommending that. You know, LOVEBITES fan mentioned that. And of course, I am gonna check out, of course, other bands in the future, right? And usually, very briefly, right, on my channel, I try to kind of loop this around it, you know. This is mostly like cultural channel, right? Talking about Japanese music, gaming, and anime, right? So I'm just really into Nioh 3. I made my Midori character, right? Showed you that last week. And game comes on Friday, and I think it's better than Elden Ring. Genuinely, I'm like, oh my god, that was so amazing. If you're into gaming, check it out. I think it's a very, very good game. Amazing gameplay, and I'm a gameplay guy. I don't care about graphics or story that much. I care about gameplay, right? So anyway, I'm very, very excited, guys. You know, I get very excited. So I just feel like normally I do LOVEBITES kind of like Saturday or Sunday, right? But I think I'm just gonna spend all the day playing that game. So I hope you appreciate it. I'm making this video here instead. Throwing it out a LOVEBITES video Wednesday instead. Otherwise, I just did, of course, also Oshinokoi, but Oshinokoi the anime, I got double blocked last week, right? Double copyright strike, so don't want to put it on YouTube anymore. At least for now, at least. But anyway, let's go. LOVEBITES. A quick note before, right? This is then Dissonance from Memorial for the Warrior Souls from 23. This is then another video, right? Not on their main channel. I think the last one, right? Today's the Day is one of their best songs. Might actually be my favorite. That really felt like a hidden gem. That's what the last video. That was a really, really good song. Don't know why it's on the main channel, but whatever, right? So it's pointed out. This is not on the main channel, but let's go. That's a great start, yes. Man, this is a good intro, guys. Damn, this was a good intro. Like, seriously, could be one of the best, if not the best intro from LOVEBITES. And it's kind of funny because just yesterday, as I mentioned, right, we did a Hagane video, and I think that also was. Now, of course, I only had 2 songs from them, but I think the second song also had a better opening, better intro, right, than the first one. It was great, but like the second one had similar to here. This was very, very, very good intro, right? So go back a little bit, just to it slightly again here. I like the Haruna, yeah, the drumming here starts amazing, right? It's really like a so I love when the song has. I'll say that I love when the song has very, very high tempo beginning, right? Tends to be my favorite songs, right? So here, right? That is what here, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it has a very, very strong intro. Arguably the best intro from these ladies, right? Really, really strong intro. And I like how Fami looks so happy too. Fami is always happy, right? She's rocking that. She looks badass, so she's doing that. This she looks fantastic. But yeah, I think this is like one of their best intros immediately Love the intro. Let's go away with more, but yeah, amazing intro. Vad fan som är mitt tur? Okay, it's a great shredding moment. I think especially the farming it up there, right? Yeah. It was yeah, that was nice. I mean, obviously, you know, Miyako, typically loves cool shredding, right? And there are other cores with Fabi also too. This is not the first one, but I think this was yeah, it was maybe her best one. She up in the middle there. That was epic, and I do think that she has the best. That's kind of how I look at Fabi, right? She has the best smile. Look at this again. She has the best smile. She's adorable, but she got that. I mean, I know that guy, but she got lack of better term shot. She got that like kawaii smile. I don't know, you know. Also about with Hagane, right? Yeah, she got that like uber adorable smile, right? And I got my Anya figure here, right? It looks like, you know, Harun. Yeah, she got the kind of smile as well, right? You know, it's that like super bright and smile, right? So her soul always feels different, right? Yeah, they feel like, but it's kind of like, you know, Midori. It's kind of like hot, raging, you know, solos, right? And Miyako is like cool as a cucumber, you know, the ice queen solos, right? And then Fami is like this, she's like the sun, right? Yeah, the brightness, is happiness, something like that. That's like a weird, I don't know, yeah, I guess maybe. Leave a comment below, guys. As you can see there, there is the latest Hagane video. Of course, links below for that. Like I said, it's funny now that YouTube keeps recommending myself to myself. YouTube is like, you love yourself, right? I do love myself, you to be correct in that. Clearly, the algorithm is working fine, but it's honestly kind of funny to me. It's like, love myself, right? Yeah, they're like, yeah, you know, this is what you want, right? This is what you want. So, music review, guys. That was interesting. So, music review, yeah, this was interesting. It had like another shredding moment, right? Yeah, it was kind of like doing into a secondary shred, we call it. Because obviously I had the early one before, right? We talked about the farming and so on, right? And here's like a second one. We can see Mjax and the like Midori and was it farming? I think it's like farming actually standing on. You know what? Actually, what is it called? Podium? You know, leave a comment below. You know what it's called actually. I don't know. What is it called? This thing, right? What they are standing on. But it's always been like that though for me because of music. That. It was the same thing this morning, right? I was reading one of the comments on the Hagane video, and they were talking about different like drumming techniques, right? And I genuinely do read your comments, guys, and I'm thinking about it, interesting. So, and I was like, I never heard about it before. So I was like, oh, this method, you know what I mean? Like, so this comment here, then, right, from Dask2328, I never even heard about this thing. I find it fascinating. That I am a lot that personally I feel that it comes to stuff with like with music and art and so on. I'm not explaining it, but it's kind of like I played the drums growing up, but I've also played other instruments, I guess, piano, guitar and so on, especially piano, the most the piano, right? So it's always fun to me, genuinely fun to me. But I guess it's kind of comments, right? And this person is talking about the Moeller Method, right? And of course also Yuna then, obviously Harune, the drummer, right, of course, in Hagane. But I've always feel like it's interesting because, you know, like there's so many words, right, or whatever, techniques that I haven't heard, right? It's fascinating. I probably, because I was commenting, right, on how when Yuna then, when she's playing, right, she does it's very, you know, it feels very powerful, right? It's a lot of power. It's a lot of like, you know, she hitting the drums right with a lot of strength, right? And even if I played drums myself, I don't mean like one time, I mean like, you know, for years, right? But not like I'm not good at it, but you know, like, you know, for a few years, right? In high school or whatever, so on. I never even heard that term before, right? It's like I'm baffled sometimes when it's like, but I went to like drumming this, and they never said to me the different methods. I mean, sure, they probably had they mentioned different styles or whatever, but not in like a theoretical way, right? So this morning, I was going to work, I was on a sub, I was like reading this comment, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna read that to the Wikipedia. The Moeller Method. It's like, interesting. Yeah, that's what it is, and I find it fascinating because, in a little bit of a way, right? It's kind of like I probably have heard about it before, right? I might even have someone, because I do recognize kind of the instruction, right? So I've probably had like a teacher explaining, oh, this is how you do this thing or whatever, but they never use that word, that phrase. So this is how you play power. Yeah, it's so weird to me. So the same thing when I look at that thing on the States, I'm like, is that podium or something? What's that called when you're standing on? it's a lot like that. And otherwise, right, as I mentioned, being a scientist, right, as a worker scientist, otherwise, I'm like a super nerdy, very theoretical person, right? Focus on a lot of like not just data, but like knowing the names and this and terms, right? And it's very important where I work when people are talking about different terminology and so on. Actually, one thing, very brief side note, that's very annoying at my work, but this is how it is, right? And everyone kind of hates it, but it's how it is that everyone using so much acronyms, okay? And there's so much acronym. It's like 50, 60 acronyms. And some of them are obviously the same as well, right? And it's so annoying. And some of them make zero sense. And then, even if you know what the acronym means, it still doesn't make any sense. Oh, it spells out those three words? You're like, it doesn't make any sense. Because some terms are very much... I don't want to go into too much details here, but it's basically like government or something like that, right? Where it's like, oh, that's a term defined by some regulate 50 years ago, right? Like, it makes no sense how it actually is, how it works, or whatever. And some terms, of course, are dated, right? Like, it actually is not what it's doing, but they call it that thing, right? So, that is super annoying. You have, like, we have this ridiculous, you have to, and no one is even telling you what it is. Basically, you have to just learn it, memorize them all. People say them briefly, yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, back to the music video. Amazing. And we had like a double shred moment here, that's what I mean. So Miyagi plays another shred here, and also the midori. And, you know, pharmacy playing. So, yeah, I like the song a lot. It's a very good song. I think they had like, yeah, probably like 50% shred that, right? Because they had like two different moments when they were fighting out like a duel. So that was really good. Like I keep saying, right, I do prefer the songs from LOVEBITES or for any band really, when they are higher tempo and so on. So that's awesome. As I mentioned earlier, the intro, of course, starting about here, right, is really fantastic. Arguably, I think maybe it's genuinely the best. Yeah, this is probably my favorite intro, right? Probably, see you guys. Probably my favorite intro from LOVEBITES. And I keep saying it, and you know, for me, right, this is a term of endearment, right, or endorsement, what it's called, is that, for me, one reason why I really like the music LOVEBITES does is because it also reminds me of, like, badass boss music, you know what I mean? That's I don't know, I'm probably, like, the only person comparing it to that, but in my defense, right, you know, we spent, like, 15 years making video games. You always think about terms in video game logic. Like my whole brain is like, this would be a cool boss fight. No, but seriously, right? You know, so I remember. Okay, I was with my friend. He's also Swedish. We met at Blizzard then, right? So we both were at Blizzard. And that's how we met, of course. So one, he's a professional gamer, and he's a very cool guy. He's one of the best players in the world in this game, and it's kind of funny because a shadow friend of mine. Also, they used to play in the same guild, basically, right? So they went and remake and blah blah and so on, right? So his teammate is someone I grew up with, and then like 10 years later, I'm at Blizzard, right, in Blizzard Entertainment, and I meet this guy. He's Swedish. Oh, you svensk också? Yeah. Hallå brorsan, and it's like that, right? You know. I'm like, oh, fan vad kul, and so forth, right? And then I ask him, oh, vart är du från då? Vart är du från I Sverige? Where you from, right? He's like, oh, I'm from this city. I was like, yeah, I have a friend that moved there, blah, 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 actually from my Hemstad, hometown. And he's like, oh, whose name? Whoa, he's like, that's my guild member. Like, what? You're his team and so on. So anyway, long story short. So jag då, me of course, I befriend this other Swede, right, immediately. Because apparently we were both friends with the same guy, right, obviously. But also, it tends to be that when you move to like America or Japan or whatever, right? You meet an older Swede, right? You're best friends immediately. We're so best friends with other Swedes that if I am in Japan, right, and I meet a Danish guy, I'm like, you Dansk? That's enough to be friends. Normally, I'll be like, we Dansk, yeah, you know, normally. But, you know, even the Danish people are welcome, right? Because it's kind of like Swedes, almost, right? And the opposite Norwegians or Finnish, like that, are awesome, right? But, yeah, you know. So, but anyway, long story short, my point is that, so me and my new-founded svenska vänner, Swedish friend, we're at the beach, okay? We're at the beach, right? We're going to Blizzard after normal work day, right? And it's all great weather, whatever. And the sun goes down kind of abruptly, and a storm comes in, you know. It's like a storm comes in. It starts raining, all this stuff, right? And genuinely in my head, this is how you are. You're too much of an artist game developer, right? Like I am, honestly. I'm sitting next to him being like, I'm imagining like a monster coming up from that water now. He's like, yeah, can you see it? Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah. So it's darker over there in the water. He's like, yeah. Like, could you imagine like a naga coming up there now? Oh, it'd be cool, yeah. It's like, you know, and then I was like standing there like talking to him like, oh yeah, and nu kommer den här grejen. Oh, so, you know, like that's how my brain is. Like I'm broken. Like I'm seeing this, like, you know, the nature, right? I'm seeing nature changing in front of me, right? Kind of rapidly. It's like a storm is brewing, and I'm just like, can you imagine like a dragon or something hiding behind those storm over there? That's probably the dragon creating the storm. Yeah, that's right. You know, like, so we stand there like, discussing this like imaginary monster coming from the water and explaining, oh, he's gonna have this many guys with him, gonna have these abilities, we're gonna shoot at us, we have to bring some weapons over here, we have to get some teams made. You know? That's how it is, right? We spend too much time working with this kind of stuff again. You get too much into it. But honestly, an issue I had, especially when I was back in the days when I was a creative director, you could never stop it going. I would imagine such a thing, right, if you're a musician, right? Same thing when I used to write my own songs, right, back in the days. This is long ago. But I did, you know, write some game music, right, for my early games. You can never stop, okay, honestly. I always said this thing, but it's like a curse and a blessing in life. Right? I can never stop, guys, I can never stop. When I'm in the car, I'm still thinking about, whatever, design or this thing or some music. I'm always thinking about it. Right? I'm always trying to come up with some new ideas. When I'm, on the subway, I'm still thinking like, oh, this is how, blah, blah, right? And it gets even worse. So I guess it's like in some code, right? Back in the days when I coded more, I get some bug, right? Oh, this bug is annoying, right? And you go back home, and I'm in the car, and I'm thinking like, it's probably like an array wrong, like sitting like that, right? I can never turn it off, honestly. And then I get back to the office the next day, right? And then I immediately, I can fix the bug now, because I figured out when I was home, basically, what the issue was. It happened to be so many times. Have you never come below if you've been in 10? That's the problem, I think, honestly. And I genuinely mean it. When you're too creative, I wouldn't be surprised, right? If someone like Midori, I've seen Miyako, some of her, her own videos, right, and so on. I would not be surprised if they have the same curse and a blessing, right? Because you can never turn it off. And I'm not even joking that. It's literally how it is. I'm always seeing like dragons and monsters behind every corner, and not in a paranoid way. Like shit, not in a paranoid way, right? Even though I'm also paranoid, but rather in a way where I'm always thinking like, how would this thing, work, right? And then because of that reason, I tend to be more Mac review, right? More pragmatic, right? So I think that's when I listen to LOVEBITES. Every time that I hear this song, like I said, the intro here, I'm like, oh my god, it's great. I'm immediately in my head, right? This is my head. I'm immediately imagining, like, you open into this cave, this monster comes down, it's like fire on the ground, starts brewing, this song starts playing, right? It plays for 10 seconds. Then we change the tune. This monster evolves in front of us. It's another song or sound effect during that. Then the song starts playing again. Like that's how my brain works. I'm immediately hearing this song, and I am not only listening to it, right, from like a musical standpoint, but I am immediately trying to direct it in the sense that how could I utilize it in like a trailer or in like a boss fight in this thing, right? That's how my brain is working. Seriously, guys, I'm always thinking like, how can I take this amazing, right, musical piece and put it into something else, right, in a combination. It could be a movie too, right? This is happening. This is the choreography, right? In my brain immediately, I'm imagining two guys having a martial art fight. This thing is playing. He up on a table. That's how my brain does. I'm always like, you can see my brain is like going away some other direction. Like, oh, it'd be cool, right? So that's a long story short there, right? How my brain works. I listen to the intro. I'm thinking, oh my god, it'd be an amazing intro for like a boss fight, and it starts, and this thing happens, and then we only play it for this many seconds, then we replay it again, That's how my brain always goes, right, But I think it'll also be my strength too, from an artistic standpoint. I'm quite good with details when I really go down, like min-maxing and so on, but otherwise I'm very much a big picture guy. I'm more the puzzle bit guy, When I work, I'm good at coordinating a bunch of different people and puzzling their skills together, right? So that's kind of how I look at this song, right? I'm thinking that, okay, for me, the intro was the best part. Right? For me, what really stood out was this amazing intro, and I could really so easily see it being used in so many different ways, right? I can also easily see it, right, in the anime opening. This is how I got into LOVEBITES to begin with, right? I would love to see them do more anime openings, of course. Absolutely, right? For that matter, it's always fun, right? As a kid, growing up, of course, getting into Japanese music, right? One of my favorite bands, maybe you should do it about this, of course, Asian Kung Fu Generation, and them and Flow, right? That was the Flow concert, of course, last few months ago. It was amazing. And I just remember, like, how can it be, like 10 years or something like that, or whatever. So I got into, right, as I mentioned, HV through obviously like Naruto and Dissonance, right? Let's do the songs. But because I was like a hardcore, otaku, right? I didn't, of course, it wasn't enough for me just to have the openings, right? Most of my friends, they would only know like, Haru Kanata, right? So like Naruto. But they wouldn't actually go in and look at their album, right? So I bought their albums, and I would listen to all the songs, of course, right? That no one else basically heard, right? Especially out of Sweden, right? No one else would have that music, so I had to import that when I was one. So I had like the tracks, like the other tracks, right? And then 10 years later, or whatever it was, right? We have this anime called Erased, of course. Erased is this amazing anime, except the ending, but it's a pretty good anime, okay? I think Erased, Boku no whatever, yeah, it's a good anime, you know, that episode. And I remember how hyped I was, right? Because of course, they had an old tune, right? From Extra generation. And that's almost kind of the most amazing part, right? When you're a fan of a band, and you know, what, like a decade old song from them gets to be in an anime, you're like, whoa, you know, whoa. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, you know, I was like, that was like crazy. This is of course long before I did YouTube. This is like 10, I don't know, it's like 10 plus years ago, right? 40 years ago, I don't remember, race has to be 10 years ago. So, yeah, it'd be awesome if Love Bites, one of their older tracks too, could be a new anime. Obviously I've done, you know, reactions to Vlad and so before, right? But it would be amazing seeing all this stuff. I had to say that I was really, really happy, right? When Bandmade gonna do Toki Anki. Because, I mean, so I was into Bandmade last year, right? And then they got to do another song in an anime. And that is still probably actually my favorite song from Bandmade, right? You know, What is Justice? I think it's an amazing song. I listen to it all the time. That I said before, that's like my favorite Bandmade song. So that was really hype too. That's all the feeling, right? If you're into the band already. Baby Metal also for One Punch Man too, yeah. Oh yeah, Baby Metal also did the goddamn Hell's Paradise opening. Yeah, so Baby Metal's very famous. So yeah, they also did 2 openings actually. So there's a difference too. That's a nice feel. Yeah, I would love if Love Bites could get into like another anime opening. Now I'm just kind of hyping up other stuff here. No, it'd be awesome, right? But that's one, it's for my brain. That's how my brain thinks too. I listen to a Love Bites song, and I used to be very fair to speak here, guys, right? There are some songs from Love Bites, which I might like them, right? Or I hate them, but I might like them. But I actually might not think it'd be a good anime opening, right? Or whatever, or like a game or whatever, or music, you know. It's like a good song, but it probably wouldn't fit like an anime opening, right? And that can be its own video, right? Let's not dwell in too much. But I think it's an interesting reflection to think about, because some Love Bite songs have like a very powerful tune, it's very aggressive. I personally like it, but I struggle putting it into another context, right? Except just enjoying the music. And I think that's an interesting thing, right? Because sometimes in music, it's like, this is a very powerful tune, right? It can be anime or whatever, but it doesn't really fit into anything else. It's one of those songs you kind of have to just sit down and be like, I have to just embrace this music, you know, by itself, right? You know, some music go like that, right? Where you kind of feel this only works in its own context. Anything else, any basically visuals or whatever next to it wouldn't work, right? I have to just enjoy this tune by itself, you know what I mean? Then there are other music I feel which is the complete opposite, right? Which is like, this music is almost bad if I don't have a visual, right? Especially I think with, to be honest, you can probably answer me, right? Especially I think some anime openings, right? Like rough with, like talk about Haruda Kanata or whatever. No, I am a big fan, but still, some old anime openings, right? Anime openings that I've seen, right? From the 90s, you know what I mean? That I'm so used to having the visuals, right? You almost get like weird, you know, hearing the song, right? Not watching the music video or the anime opening. You're kind of like, what is the thing? I have to kind of watch it, right? It's almost like so into it that it's like, well, I need the visuals to make it good. That to me is also very free to do. It's one way where I think that makes music really interesting is when I'm into this, how I call it, leave a couple of useful things me do, but you know, you find a lot of animes you like, right? And they have this long playlist. Obviously, they're mostly shorter animes, like One Piece, Naruto, Black Clover, whatever, Bleach, so on, right? And I think that this one thing, I think a lot of people have this exact same feeling that I have, and it's such a weird feeling from your mind. It's just like incredible weird feeling. That is like you're used to like an anime opening list, right? Like Naruto. So for example, after Flow signed, right, Naruto's opening 6, then opening 7 comes in, right, you know. It's such a weird feeling sometimes, right? When you're listening to that song from Flow then, right? And obviously the next song is at opening 7. My brain has like I got like an aneurysm, right? So I was at the Flow concert, right, a few months ago, and they of course played Sign. That was like obviously the best number, right? That was a big number. They played twice actually, right? And after that, they didn't play opening 7 chord. That's not their song, right? Then I was like, but I want opening 7 now. You were like, but I want opening 7 now, okay? Like, I don't care if it's a flow concert. They actually did play all the narrative music too, though. But still, I was like, I want that opening, right? But obviously, they have, there wasn't the same order, right? As the normal, like, 1 to 20 kind of playlist. So your brain is like, oh my god, what's happening to my brain? It's like you're so used to that the next song comes in, right? It goes like 1, 2, 3, 4. You need the song. It's such a weird feeling when I get those songs. And it has to happen with those bands that I really like them, like Step and Flow or something, where I have both like a narrative list, right, or a playlist or whatever, that I separately also have, like Spotify, whatever, I have like a flow list or Aqua Times list or whatever, right? I have like an order list with the band, separately from the show, right, and then sometimes I get that song in separate list, right? And you're just like, your brain is like, but it makes a lot of sense, though, right? It's kind of like we train a dog or something. Honestly, yeah, because you're used to having that. That's your reward, You're used to being like, this is a song, and then you have to have this next part. It does become like a full play, right? For like the full play, you're used to the next part in the line to be that next song, right? So your brain gets confused. It doesn't pattern anymore. Super frustrating. Seriously, it hurts my feelings. Makes me confused, guys. I'm like, oh, what's happening? Oh, it's like you get emotionally upset about it. Genuinely. Oh, it's so frustrating. Anyway, guys, this arguably best LOVEBITES intro. Okay. Now, tomorrow, guys, it's the Kaiser, of course. The best anime this season on FRIEREN on Friday, right? The dude looks like my FRIEREN figure. But I think it's really fun, though. If there's one figure I have, right, that I see a lot of LOVEBITES fans actually commenting on, is my FRIEREN figure, right? This is the best figure I ever bought. Yeah, I see these comments all the time. People saying this is the coolest. Yes, FRIEREN in the Mimic show. I'm so happy because, obviously I own like, I don't know, 300 figures or whatever, right? But this is like the best figure. This is the best figure I ever bought. Worth every penny. Anyway, guys, you guys have a great day.